Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to lesson 14 of our Arabic grammar course. Inshallah, with this lesson 14, inshallah, with Allah's tawfiq, we'll complete our module 4. And as you can see on the screen, inshallah, in this lesson, we're going to cover these three topics. And mainly in this lesson, as I said in the previous lesson, inshallah, we'll do some practice as well to understand this concept of Jumlatul Fa'iliya based on Fail Madi. Inshallah, we'll practice this one at the end of this lesson so we can put everything in perspective. Okay, so let's first complete these small three topics, inshallah, which are the last three topics of this module 4. So first is negation of Fail Madi, second is interrogative in Fail Madi, and last is use of qad or laqad in Fail Madi. Let's look at them one by one. So how can we make a Fail Madi negation? Okay, very simple. You as we discussed in our Jumlatul Ismiya in module 3, you just put a ma. Okay, look at the example. Atainahu, we gave him. Now, right now, I am not focusing on how I translated this one. Inshallah, it will come at the end of this lesson. Right now, I just want to teach you the use of ma to negate jumlatul failure. Okay, so atainahu, we gave him. Ma atainahu, we did not give him. So did not, because it is madi. Okay, nasarakum, he helped you. Ma nasarakum, he did not help you. Kafaru, they disbelieved. Ma kafaru, they did not disbelieve. So at this stage, all we are learning is that if we want to negate in Jumlatul Fi'liya based on Fi'l Madi, all we need to do is just put a ma in the start and there's no other change. As you can see in all of these examples. Clear? Next one. How can you make the Jumlatul Fi'liya based on Fi'l Madi into a questioning sentence? Okay. Same thing. Just put a or hal in the beginning and no other change. Example, same example, atainahu, we gave him. Hal atainahu, did we give him? Or atainahu, did we give him? So either you put hal or you put it does the job. Okay. Nasarakum, he helped you. Hal nasarakum, did he help you? Or anasarakum, did he help you? Okay. Kafaru, they disbelieve. Hal kafaru or akafaru, did they disbelieve? Okay. So this is how, by putting hal or in the beginning, you can make your sentence of Jumlatul Failiyah of Madi into a interrogative or questioning sentence. Okay. And in this slide, I'm showing in this slide that sometimes obviously this use of or hal is only in those cases when you need a yes or no answer. Okay. If you want to inquire about something else, as we have learned these words in module 3, these are same words. You can use these words in the start and there's no other change. Examples, for example, if I say Darasat Zainab, Zainab studied. Darasa means studied. Zainab studied. Mata darasat Zainabu. When did Zainab study? So by putting mata, because mata means when. Okay. Aina darasat Zainabu. Where did Zainab study? You only put aina. So we are learning on this slide is that by using any of these words, depending on what you need to ask, just use any of these words in the start and the rest of sentence remains same, because actual sentence is Darasat Zainab. Zainab studied. If you want to question something about this sentence, put the proper word, which whatever you want to ask, mata, aina, limaza, kaifa, maza, or ayu, depending on what you want to ask. Clear? So this was how you ask a question in Jumlatul Failiyah based on Fail Madi. Okay. Last topic is use of laqad or qad. Sometimes you see laqad is used, sometimes you see qad is used. Okay. So Use of qad or laqad in fail madi makes the sentence more emphatic. Clear? Now, you remember that when we studied in module 3 Jumlatul Ismiya or nominal sentence, we discussed the concept of emphasis by putting inna in the start, because one of the ways we learned in third module that one of the ways you can make Jumlatul Ismiya emphatic, you put inna in the start. Now obviously in Jumlatul Failiya you cannot put inna. So same job which inna, which means indeed, for sure. So the same job which inna does in the case of Jumlatul Ismiya, in the case of Jumlatul Failiya, same job is done by using qad or laqad, which means indeed, for sure, without a doubt. As you can see the example, qad aflahal mu'minun. Actual sentence is aflahal mu'minun. The believers have become successful, or the believers have succeeded. But if you put qad, indeed, for sure, without a doubt, believers have succeeded. So, okay. So this qad or laqad is used in the start of Jumlatul Failiya based on fail madi. Why? Just to make it more emphatic. Clear? These are the three topics. Alhamdulillah, with this we have completed our module number 4. And inshallah, from next lesson number 15, last module 5 will be started, and which will have inshallah only 3 lessons. Now, as I said in the start, let's see some practice of sorry. Let's see some practice of Jumlatul Failiya. Okay, let me open a sheet to practice something. Okay, as you can see on the screen, I have selected some sentences to practice. So first sentence is, so what we're gonna do is we will label them. Label means we'll identify the parts of the sentence and we'll translate it. Okay, so Ba'asallahu rusula. Okay, Ba'asa. Okay, actually before that, let me show you one thing which will inshallah will be very helpful for you in this last topic. Okay, and that one thing is this: 4 important principles. What are the principles? Number 1, in Jumlatul Fi'liya, an ism in rafa status is very likely to be outside doer. So in Jumlatul Ismiya, if you come across ism in rafa status, there's high chances, almost sure, that this is going to be your outside doer. Remember the concept of outside doer? There's concept that sometimes doer is built in, but sometimes the built-in doer is cancelled and you get an outside doer. Okay, so if you get in Jumlatul Ismiya ism in rafa status, it's almost a sign that this ism will be your outside doer. Inshallah, we'll see in a minute. And secondly, if you see ism in nasab status, it will be maf'ul. So if you see ism in rafa status, it will be fa'il or outside doer. And if you see ism in nasab status, it will be maf'ul. Point number 3, if you see a pronoun attached with fail, this pronoun will be your maf'ul. So maf'ul is in these 2 forms. Sometimes a clear ism in nasab status, and sometimes a pronoun attached with the fail. Last but not the least, in Jumlatul Failiya, if you come across a jar majroor phrase, or which is also called a prepositional phrase, this will be called muta'alliq bil fail. Okay, so one more time, in Jumlatul Failiya, if you see ism in rafa status, it will be your file and it will be outside file. Okay, if you see ism in nasab status, it will be your maf'ul, and if you see a pronoun attached with the fail, it will also be your maf'ul. And last, if you see a prepositional phrase or a jar majroor phrase, it will be your muta'alliq bil fail. So keep these things in mind, inshallah. These things will help you when we do the practice. Okay, so let's do the practice. Ba'asallahu ar-rusula, or Ba'asallahu rusula. Now, Ba'asa is a fail. How do I know? You see this a sound in the start and a sound in the end. Ba'asa, a. So Ba'asa is a fail, and it is fail madi. Why? Because this a sound is a sound of fail madi. Secondly, after Ba'asa, Allahu Now Allahu is a ism, and it is in what status? Rafa status. We just discussed in Jumlatul Fi'liya. If you get ism in Rafa status, this ism becomes your file or outside doer. Okay. And last, ar-rusulu, alif lam in the start is a clear sign that this is a ism. Why alif lam in the start? Okay. And what status is it? It is in nasab status. And I just told you, when you get a ism in nasab status, that ism becomes your maf'ul or detail of the action. Okay. Now, basa mean he raised. Inside basa, there's a he, built-in doer, he. Okay. But because you got outside doer Allahu, so the built-in doer he will be cancelled. So now basa will not mean he raised. In this sentence, basa will be translated as only raised. Okay, why? Because you already got the outside doer Allahu. So basa is a fail, Allahu is the file, and it's an outside file. File means subject or doer. And ar-rusula is your maf'ul. Why? Because it is in nasab status. Now let's translate it. Basa, raised. Allahu, Allah. Ar-rusulu, the messengers. Allah raised the messengers. Clear? Next example. Dahiktuma. This kaf has a sukoon. Okay. Dahiktuma. Now, dahika has the meaning of smile. Okay. Now, dahiktuma, dwad, ha, and kaf. This is same as dahika. These three words are the original letters. After that, you got tuma. Now, let me show you one thing which we already learned, just to show you that thing one more time. You see, this is our chart of fail Madi. I'm repeating this thing from the beginning, that the original letters, they remain intact. And at the end, you see some additional letters and some change. And this is the doer part. Okay. Now, for example, you see this tuma part, because in our example, the hiktuma, you got tuma. This tuma part means it is pair, which means two, and it is you, and it is masculine. So tuma means two, you, masculine. Okay. Likewise, if it is ta with the sukoon ending, it means she. So please, you need to memorize this chart. Nasara, nasara, nasaru, like I did in the first lesson. Okay. Why? Because the ending at the end of this will give you the number and the gender of the doer. Okay. So this tuma, which was the example of our sentence, this tuma means both of you. Okay. Let's go back and now see what was that sentence. Yes. So dahiktuma. Now dwad, ha, and kaf, these are same. Tuma, I just showed you. Tuma mean you too, masculine. Okay. Dahiktuma, you smile. Obviously, in English you say you smiled, but you know technically that it is two people, not more than two. Why? Because tuma mean two people. Okay. Dahiktuma. So the action of smiling is being done by tuma. So this dahiktuma, this completing the hiktuma, it's your fail and file as well. File means the doer. Where is file? It is in built in. Where is that? Tuma part is showing you the built in. So the hiktuma has both fail and file. And how to translate it? You smiled. And this you is referring to two people. Next example, sadaka. Now sadaka is your fail madi. How do you know? Again, a sound in the start, a sound in the end. Sadaka, a sound in the start and end. It is a clear sign that is your fail madi. Okay. Then Allahu is a ism. Obviously, what status? Rafa status. I just mentioned that when you get is in Jumlatul Fi'liya, when you get ism in Rafa status, that ism will become your file, and it will be outside file, and the hidden file will be cancelled. What it means? Sadaka means he spoke the truth. But this he part in this sadaka, this he part will be cancelled. Why? Because when you get outside doer, the inside doer is cancelled. So sadaka means he spoke the truth. But Sadaqallahu, Allah spoke the truth. Okay, so the he part is cancelled. So Sadaqa is your fail, and Allahu, word Allahu is your file or doer. Okay, next example. Nasarallahu al-Muslimina. Now, Nasara again. Nasara is your fail. How do you know? This a sound. And then Allahu ism in what status? Rafa status. So Allah will become what? File or doer or subject. All of these are the name of same thing. And it will be your outside file, because you know file is of two types: built-in file and outside file. So they inside Nasara there was a he file built in, but because you got Allahu, so the built-in he is cancelled and Allahu will become the file. So Nasara is fail, Allahu is file. Al-Muslimina. Now Al-Muslimina, what status? Ina sound mean it could be nasab, it could be jar, but there's no possibility that it could be jar. Why? Because look, al-Muslimina, ina could be nasab, could be jar, and it's plural. Okay, in our Muslim chart we learned this. Why it cannot be jar? Because jar, in order to it to be jar, there are only two possibilities. Either there should be a preposition before it, which is not the case, or it should be the mudaf ilay, and that's not the case either. If it's not the mudaf ilay case and there's no preposition before it, then it can only be in nasab status. Okay, apparently from the look of it, Muslimina, ina sound could be nasab, could be jar, but because there's no indication of it being jar, so it will be nasab. So we discussed in the start, when in jumlatul failiya you get a ism in nasab status, that ism becomes your maf'ul or detail. Let's translate it. Nasara actually mean he helped, but because he part is cancelled, so help. Allahu, Allah. Al-Muslimina, the Muslim. Allah help the Muslims. Clear? Next example. Nasara al-Muslimuna an-Nasa. So Nasara al-Muslimuna an-Nasa. So again, Nasara is the fail, and it has a hidden or inside or built-in he as the doer. Al-Muslimuna, alif lam is the clear sign that this is your ism. And then una sound is telling you that this ism is in rafa status and it's plural. Una sound. Okay. Now, Nasara has a built-in he as the doer, but because after Nasara you got a ism in rafa status, which is Muslimuna, so the built-in doer will be cancelled and al-Muslimuna will become the doer or the subject. And an-Nasa is a ism. How do I know? Alif lam in the start. And Nasa, what status? Nasab status. In Jumlatul Failiya, when you get ism in nasab status, that ism becomes your maf'ul or detail. Or in English, the word is object. You remember? Subject, verb, and object. So maf'ul mean object. Okay, let's translate it. Nasara actually mean he helped, but now it will mean only help. Why? Because he part is cancelled. So help al-Muslimuna, the Muslims, and Nasa, the people. So Muslims help the people. Why? Because Muslim part is the doer part. So the action is being done by the Muslim. Why? Because ism in rafa status plays the job of doer, and ism in nasab status plays the job of detail or maf'ul. One more, Nasarul kuffara. Now, Nasaru. This Nasaru, let me show you one thing. You see this U. Now okay, now you can see clearly. Nasaru. So in Veil Madi, this U with the wow U ending mean that it has built in they masculine. Okay, because remember, I'm repeating this thing again and again. This last part gives you the number and gender of the doer. And if last part is this U, it means the number is they masculine. Okay, now let's go back to the same example so we can see. So Nasaru, They helped. Al-Kuffara, Alif Lam is a clear sign. It's ism. What status? Because it is in nasab status, as you can see the fatha. So ism in nasab status becomes what? Object or maf'ul. So nasaru, and as you can see in this example, there is no outside doer. So the inside doer, nasaru, has a built-in they as the inside built-in doer, and that they will remain intact. Why? Because after nasaru you did not get any outside doer. So they help the kuffar. Okay, nasaru, they help al-kuffara, the disbelievers. Okay, last example inshallah, and I will leave this last three for you to do. Okay, so nasarat, please remember this. If you see this one, this kasra with the ta is only to join this ta with the next word an-nisa. Otherwise, this ta is a sukoon. Okay, so nasarat, and you know nasarat in your 14 words chart, nasarat is number. Let me show you. You see, when you have ta with the sukoon at the end, this is your number 4, and it has built in she as the doer. Okay, she as the built-in doer. Let's go back. So nasarat, she helped. So far we say she helped. An-nisa'u, now alif lam is a clear sign that it's a ism. What status? Rafa status. So when you get ism in Rafa status, the built-in doer, which was she will be cancelled. Now an-nisa'u, the women, this an-nisa'u will become your doer or subject or file, and the built-in she will be cancelled. An-nisa'a, interesting. An-nisa'a, again it's a ism. What status? It's a nasab status. Okay, and ism in nasab status become what? Maf'ul or object. Okay, so this first an-nisa'u is becoming your file, and the second an-nisa'a is becoming your maf'ul. Why? Because ism in rafa status becomes the file, and ism in nasab status become the maf'ul or object or detail. So nasarat actually means she helped, but because of an-nisa'u, she is cancelled. So the women help. The women help the women. Clear? So this first an-nisa'u is playing the role of rafa, and next an-nisa'a is playing the role of nasab. Now, inshallah, in the description of this video, I will attach the presentation and the notes for this lesson, and also this practice sheet. I have left on purpose the last 3 sentences. Okay, it has altogether 10. We did 7 of them, and I want you to do these last 3 sentences. Okay, please try them inshallah, and inshallah tomorrow I will see and I will label all of the last 3 as well. Then you can check yourself. Okay, as with this, alhamdulillah, we have seen that how Jumlatul Failiyah is working in the actual text. Now, at this stage, this bit of practice is just to put things in perspective. Inshallah, let me finish all of these 5 modules. After that, it's all about practicing Jumlatul Ismiya and Jumlatul Failiyah from the Quran. Okay, at this stage, I'm just giving you a bit of taste that how these things are actually working in the text. So please, again, download this sheet and download the notes and presentation, and please read the presentation and try this sheet as well. Inshallah, in the next lesson, I will help you out on this one more. Until next, barakallahu fi, jazakumullahu khair, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.